Hi, friends. Hello, the world. How are you guys? Here is your host, Asel Ormonova, and welcome back to this episode of Complaint Free Life. So, it is so hot here that I am barely managing. So, if you can see me sweat throughout the episode, for those of you who watched the video version of the podcast, don't worry. It's not because I don't know, nervous or um, what else could it be? Stressed out, but rather because it's so hot um, in Italy, where I am now. So, today's topic is going to be answering some of your questions that I keep getting, be it through readers, listeners, or even people who come to talk to me. And I chose some of those questions highlighted, and I also realized that there is maybe a need for an episode on how to choose a life coach as such. That could be a separate episode that I'm working on, which I will hopefully release soon. Excuse me. So for now, my goal is to respond to some of the frequently asked questions that I've covered in March, I think, when I was talking about life coaching and what it is all about. But I thought that I will still do that. Maybe there might be some overlap of reiteration, but in general, so these are the answers to your frequently asked questions. So let's start with the one that is life coaching a therapy? Now, I've heard some people describe that life coaching is therapy for healthy people. And as much as I like the short descriptive version of it, I tend to think that life coaching is actually not there to fix you in the sense of healing you or treating you like other specialists might do, such as psychologists, psychotherapists, but rather it is there to uncover your potential, to uncover and explore who you really can become or are capable of becoming if you worked on yourself. So, from that standpoint, I tend to agree more with colleagues who say that life coaching is uh, a great tool to explore and find out who you really are. And it's an investment in yourself. So, this way, you can actually look at how can you see life coaching as a way to grow yourself, as a way to uncover and find out about yourself, rather than trying to fix or treat or heal? Even though I've seen many people who've gone to life coaches also for healing purposes, but obviously there are different ways of also practicing life coaching. So the other question that I get a lot is, I don't have time to work on myself. And this is one of the, I don't know, prominent discussions that we have. And we always say that life coaching actually is going to help you gain more time or create more time and get rid of those time wasters or a lack of time mentality. So, in other words, life coaching can actually help you look at the mindset of why you keep thinking that there is no time or there's not enough time for working on yourself. Because the danger with that type of thought pattern is that as soon as we get into that topic of we don't have time for things that are so important, and I consider working on yourself and uncovering your true potential is the most or the best work that we can do ever on ourselves to create the next best version of ourselves. If we don't have time for that, then how are we really valuing our time, or how are we prioritizing our time? So, I don't have time is actually in many ways a an excuse for not finding time. And life coaching could help you find out why you are choosing to think that way, or why you are so used to thinking that way, and how this thought pattern can show up in other areas of your life that you haven't considered before. So if we're not valuing ourselves, our own growth so much to find time for it, then there are chances of you also not finding time for other things that you actually value, yet you're not really managing your time. So from that perspective, life coaching can actually help you look at the time, even though it's a finite resource. You look at it from the perspective of how can you have enough time, all the time you need for all the things that you really value in life, and also how you can prioritize this in a way that actually gets you achieving those goals that you really think matters to you, rather than um, going around and trying to do a lot of the things and then in the end not really achieving the goal you want because you've just put yourself into a busy situation so that you don't look at the actual issues behind those busyness. So in other words, why are we busy being busy when uh, we could be actually creating time to do those things? Is it busyness a sign of we are avoiding something, or we're not wanting to look at some of the issues that are actually happening, or we're not really wanting to work on those things that really matter for us? So that's why I don't have time to work on myself. Uh, Reason, if it comes up with you, you let us know or let me know, and I would love to coach you on that. And we will find out that you will always have time for things that you value. So think about that. Another question that I get a lot is that I don't have enough money to spend on life coaching. And it sounds very expensive, or it sounds like a luxurious thing to do. Now, again, this comes back to what we value in life. It might be true that some people do not value growing and working on themselves enough to spend that money. And have you noticed that whenever we have money, we always know, or most of the time, we always seem to know what to spend it on. And sometimes we spend money on things that we consider, some of us consider as very luxurious and other consider basic or other consider very needed, right? So that's why in the end of the day, we always spend money on things that we value. So it means that life coaching is probably something that you haven't seen the benefits of in your life, and therefore you're probably not valuing enough to pay for it. The other thing is, let's say that you do value it, but still consider you don't have enough money. Think of it that's first a thought, and second, it's a thought that you just are so used to thinking. So in other words, that any amount of money is that are just numbers, and how we interpret those numbers are all about how we think about ourselves and our lives. So if we have whatever the number, and we think that's a lot of money for me to spend, then the question is, what is your self growth and uncovering your potential of who you could become, and potential of how much you could be earning is worth money. Because what if you spent that money, let's say you spent 4,000 on coaching, and you considered that as an investment to get double the amount out of it, be it in the form of the actual earning of money or in the form of getting all those skills within you that help you get to that money. Would you invest that? So if it was something tangible, let's say that you could invest 4,000 in something tangible, an object, and then you get after 6 months $8,000, would you be investing? I'm guessing probably you would. Now, that's only because it's a tangible that we can see and touch, probably. But what about your own growth? Even though it may not be tangible yet, it has a potential to create as much money as you want to by developing those skills. So why wouldn't you want to develop those skills to spend it or to create as much money as you want? So the way I think of it is that, so for instance, I paid my coach $5,000 for 6 months of work. And my goal was clear, is that I want to get out of that investment something like $70,000. If someone else said you're crazy, I would say no, it's actually, I'm investing in myself. I'm investing that money into finding out all my capabilities and removing all those limiting beliefs in order to earn that money. And I do that because I want to believe in myself so much so, and I believe in my coach so much so that I'm actually going to get that money back from my investment. If not within 6 months, a bit longer, but still I am going to get it. So if I'm spending that money, that means I value my growth so much. I am so much curious about what else I could create in life. And also so much so that how I can create with my inner abilities all this money that I can create, not for the sake of money, but for the sake of finding out how much of my skill set can earn me money. Right? And once I have that skill set, then I can earn and create as much as I want, because those skills will remain with me for life as long as I keep practicing it. So think about it. Do you really not have time or money, or you're not valuing it, or you're not looking at it from the perspective of investing in yourself and creating not only money, but creating so much more of freedom within you and ability to know that you can create and earn as much as you want? I mean, how amazing is that? Knowing that, in truly believing that, and creating results from that, right? Okay, the next one is, the question that I get a lot is, I don't trust myself enough to commit. In other words, the word of commitment seems to be an issue in many of the areas. And I've seen that even from seeing people's attendance to events online. And I know that maybe people are just so tired of events. I can understand during the pandemic, yet I can also see that many people are more likely to click interested button in the event section of Facebook rather than going button, because that sounds like a lot of commitment, right? And from that, I can also see how much people actually um, make decisions in their lives, and how much they are willing to work on themselves. And I can understand that trusting yourself and committing sounds like big things, and things that are not always easy to get or not always easy to achieve, or especially if you're someone who has the past of not committing or not really trusting yourself, then it might be very daunting to think that, oh no, now I have to commit and I'm not really sure if I can do this or not. What if I change my mind? What if this and what if that? And then your brain offers a lot of thoughts, and then in the end, you just don't do it. And instead, you just keep reacting to life most of the time. Now, reacting to life is not a bad thing as such, except that it may not always get us the long-term gains that we want. Because whenever we're reacting, we're not really pursuing what we truly want. We're rather looking at what comes up next and then just reacting and see what happens. In other words, we're letting the life default lead us rather than us choosing to live what we want to live. So if you're someone who really wants to be in charge of that life and lead life by your own design rather than letting it lead you, then trust and commitment are thoughts and beliefs that can generate whatever you want it to generate. So it's all within your power, within your mind power to commit to anything, even if it sounds scary, to trust yourself, even if you haven't done it before. You don't have to be good at trusting yourself before in order to start life coaching, or you don't have to be good at commitment before starting it. You can actually come to life coaching to learn all about it, and most importantly, to test it out with your coach together. So you come to a coach and say that I actually have these issues. I've never been able to commit or trust myself in these important areas of my life, and therefore I need help, for instance. And then me, for instance, as your life coach, I would then help you build that trust by using several of the examples or creating new evidences of how you are actually trusting yourself and how you are doing all the things that you are doing. It's just that your brain is not used to believing that you can do that. But it's a matter of belief, excuse me. And and that belief can be developed, and that belief can be developed and supported with new actions to show you that you can do that even though you have never been able to do it before. So don't think that trust or commitment are stopping you from coming and being fully committed, but rather come over to explore how you can actually develop that trust and how you can develop that commitment by first coming to the session and learning all about it from your own perspective of why you're used to this type of thinking pattern and how we can change it to another pattern that you want, and then just keep practicing it. So that's why I encourage you to explore life coaching, even if you think you're lacking trust and commitment. And those are habitual thinking patterns that we can develop with no prior experience or I don't know, register before. The other one is I'm not sure what I want in life. This question also, or rather, this statement comes a lot. And the people also tell me that the reason why I'm not really coming to you is because I don't really know what I want. Again, in order to work with life coaching, or one of the goals of working with life coach could be to find out what you really want in life and why you're choosing not to know what you want in life. Because we all have our inner wisdom. I believe we all have in our inner wisdom to know all the answers to our questions about our lives. It's just that sometimes we answer that question. We may have to do the things and actions to follow those decisions that we've made. So the question is, why are you choosing to think that you are not sure what you want in life? Maybe it's an avoidance tactic. Maybe it's comfort and you don't really want to break that comfort. Maybe there are other reasons that we're not aware of, because of which your brain decided to just hide under the title of, we just don't know what we want, therefore why bother seeking help? The problem with that type of thinking is that if we believe that, we will always be making it true through all the evidence that we have. In other words, the vicious cycle will continue. We will keep thinking that we don't know what we want in life, and then we will never find out because we're actually blocking ourselves before even finding out what we're capable of or what we want in life. And another great exercise could be that you actually choose, no matter what it is, you choose something and you start working on it, and then you realize that you actually don't want it or you actually want that. And that's also a great indication of whether you are trying to just avoid actions following through on that decision once you decide what you want, or you truly don't want and you want to explore and find out what you really want in life. There are so many ways to explore this question, and life coaching could be a great way to explore, to find out what you really want, and then start actually pursuing and seeing what happens. In other words, to break that comfort cycle. Another question that I get is, I'm afraid of being vulnerable, so I don't go to a life coaching because I may have to tell all my secrets and I don't want to. Now, life coaching, it can be a great way to explore, why are you even afraid of being vulnerable? What is the reason behind? And even if we knew what the reasons are behind, what are we going to do to explore of who you truly are? Because if you are saying that you're afraid of being vulnerable, there is a high chance that you are actually not opening up even to yourself. You might be hiding, or you might be using it as the reason why you're not really growing. Because we grow immensely if we really know and get vulnerable, and also find out the power of being vulnerable. And that whenever we're vulnerable and we know that we are, that's when we are trusting ourselves and others to open up and to show our humanness, and to show that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's also okay to show what we're really going through. Because once we are vulnerable, we're willing to open up and find out what's happening behind the scenes and how we can address that. And the other good thing is that if you haven't gone that far, or if you're not in the stage of being vulnerable, no worries. You can always use hypothetical scenes to find out answers, to see for yourself if it resonates with you or not. So you can always start with hypothetical scenes to work on whatever the topic that you're struggling with. And then go from there and decide whether you want to or you're willing to open up or not. And if you cannot, you can always find another life coach who you can relate to more, and then maybe that will give you a possibility to open up more. And the last point that I want to take here is that I want a guarantee for achieving results. Can you give me one? This is the other one that I get a lot. Now, again, of course, we could look at why you're needing a guarantee to achieve results, because it shows to me that you are not really sure about your abilities, or you are not really trusting yourself to get those results. And that's fine, as I said, because you don't have to have the trust and commitment to come to a life coach. But what I promise you this is that I will help you develop that skill of guaranteeing results for yourself, by yourself. In other words, I will help you discover your inner strength, your trust, your uncover your abilities to be able to actually trust yourself so much so that you are guaranteeing your results for yourself, because you are the ones who can ultimately give you all the results you want. As long as you keep expecting that result from someone else, you are unlikely to get it. That's why my job will be to help you get that skill of guaranteeing you your results. So these are the questions and statements that I wanted to address. If you have any other that came up in the while of listening to me, please do let me know, and I'm happy to answer any other questions or give you coaching on any of the questions that you had that you're not sure about, and then we will go from there. Thank you so much, and I wish you a beautiful week and see you next Friday. Bye.